We're building a conveyor belt because business is a conveyor belt. And if your business is not succeeding, then your conveyor belt is not succeeding. And you have a break within the system. So me, the person here, is going to identify where that break may be and how you, as the person, can potentially solve that break. So come with me while I take you on a journey of discovering the insides of your business. Business is a conveyor belt. The reason you need to view business as a conveyor belt is simply because it allows you to identify the break in your system. If this here was a conveyor belt that manufactured drink bottles, let's say every time a drink bottle came out of here, my drink bottle was damaged, there was a break on the lid, okay, or the sticker wasn't on there properly. I would go back on the production line and I would identify where the break in my system is. And then once I've identified the break in the system, I would go and I would fix the break in the system and it would allow the bottles to come back again. So this is a conveyor belt, and this is not just for air conditioning, this is relevant for any high ticket trade job. But this is the process. From when a customer first sees you, right here, they start, to when a customer has referred you. That's the end of the line. That there is the journey that you want a customer to go on. You want them to discover you and to go through this whole process, and by the end, they've referred you onto someone else, and that becomes a loop, and the conveyor belt can go. So, I'm gonna go through each section, and you're gonna be able to identify potentially where the break is in your current system. So the first thing you need people to do is you need people to see your social media. People need to land on a page because your social media is your website, it's your storefront, it's your shop, it's your warehouse, it's absolutely everything. And if your social media is bad, you won't be able to convert people into the next stage. A customer, imagine this, all of these customers are coming in here, they're walking into your shop, here's your shop, and as they're about to walk into the shop on the street, there's no signs, there's no doors, there's a big closed sign on there, then their customers are gonna walk away. And that's your Instagram when you have no content or anything on there. Customers will come and then they'll walk away. But if your social media is good, customers will come into your social media. Now, because they've walked into your social media, just as if they're walking into a shop. When you walk into a shop, a shop worker comes over and starts to try and sell to you. Can I help you, sir? So when they come to your social media, now a video ad can start to sell that person. So now you have a video ad of you, of a customer testimonial, of a job you're doing, the service that you're selling, and you run that as an ad, okay? So they've walked into your social media. Now they've seen your ad, but now you need to know if that ad is successful. Okay? Just as if I hired a salesperson to work in my shop, and every single time they walked up to a person, the customer walked out, then I would go, well, that person's not doing a very good job because they keep leaving. And just the same as your video ad, if your video ad doesn't convert to a lead, and if it's too high, if the cost per lead is too high, then our video ad needs to be improved. Maybe the lighting was bad, maybe the sound was bad, maybe we were dressed inappropriate, we looked like we were a bum, I don't know what it is. But we can identify, I'm not getting a good cost per lead. So that's the break in my system. But let's say the cost per lead is good, okay? Now, what's good? Anywhere between $10 to $50 typically, depending on where you are and what time of the year it is, $10 to $50 is kind of the range. But from here, they become a lead, but they need to become a booking. The AI or you, whatever it is, needs to be able to contact that lead and convert them into a phone call, because if they don't convert to a phone call, then it's nothing, they're just a lead. So we really want to be aiming for around 50% of leads, bare minimum, that come into our funnel. We need to be contacting them and having a booked appointment with them. And if we're not doing this, if this is at 25%, then we're most likely too slow. We do not have a good system in place to capture the lead. So when a lead comes through your shop, they get sold, and it takes too long. No one fucking comes up, no one follows them up, no one contacts them, and they get bored and they forget. So they decide to leave and they go out of your shop. But let's say you have a good system in place. You have AI that can contact them straight away, or you call them straight away, and you now have a 50% booking rate. So now you're moving down the funnel. But let's say out of the 50%, so let's say you've had 100 leads come through. You've spoken to 50% of them. So now you've spoken to 50 leads. And out of those 50, you want to be sending at least 40 quotes. You want to be converting at least 80% of them into quotes. Because if you're not, then you're getting the wrong people in your funnel. So let's say, imagine if I own a mechanics, but my sign on my mechanics isn't really clear what I do. It looks like I could sell auto parts, but I don't, I only fix cars. So I get a bunch of people that come through and they're not really sure about what I do. So by the time I've had that phone call, by the time I've talked to them in the shop, I realize that they weren't actually a qualified prospect. So if you have less than an 80% conversion from a phone call to a quote sent, if you're at 60%, then you have a lead quality issue. Your messaging is off. People aren't really sure what you do. So that's the break in your system. You would be able to go back and identify that I need to improve something. I need to get clearer on my messaging. So now we're at an 80%, okay? We have 40 people that have come through here, quote sent. Now we need to convert those quotes into a quote accepted. Now this conversion rate entirely depends on who you are, your competence, how old your business is, how good your sales process is, and everything like that. But the bare minimum, guys, the bare minimum is 20%, right? That's industry standard for sales. I'd like to see that at 40%, but we're gonna work off 20%. 20% is the bare minimum. So out of the 40 people that are coming in, you want to be converting at least 8 of them into a job. But maybe you're not. Maybe only 4 of them converted into a job. So what does that mean? It means that something's off. You're trying to charge too much for the value that you're giving. Maybe people don't trust you enough. Maybe you took too long to send them a quote. Maybe your process you're selling wasn't good. You weren't confident. You didn't close with conviction. So these people, they don't want to work with you anymore. So now you can identify that the break in the system is here. You go, everything else is good, but I'm not converting enough. I'm losing people here. My quote template might be off. Maybe my supplier is shoving me in the ass. They're shafting me and I'm paying $1,000 extra than what I need to pay. Or maybe I'm taking too long. Whatever it is, there's something there. Because the market, these numbers don't lie. There's at some point, the customer didn't like something you did. Because if a customer goes through all of this and they're ready to receive a quote, 20% of them should say yes, right? Unless you're a brand new business, you've got absolutely no proof online, maybe it's gonna be a little bit lower. Cool, from here, we've closed 20%. We have 8 people coming through. We need to book those people into a book job. Now, 8 people. Do you know what that tells me? You have 8 jobs. That's an opportunity to get 80 pieces of content. So you need to be booking in content for every single job. You need to treat every single job like it's a marketing. You've got to film content for them because it's going to build trust. And when you film more content, it's going to allow these numbers to become better. These numbers are going to increase because you're going to have more trust. I post 5 times a day at the moment. I've posted 60 times since starting this challenge because I want to build trust. And when I want to actually sell to you, I want it to be a very easy process for me because I want you to be very warm. I want to do an easy job, you know what I mean? So when you booked in a job, the next stage of the funnel is that content will be filmed, okay? You're going to get videos, video testimonials. Now you probably don't like content. No one does. People don't just wake up and love content. They develop the skill of it because they know it has the highest return on investment. You will crawl under a floorboard for 8 hours a day, but you won't get behind the camera for 20 minutes. But crawling underneath a floorboard does nothing except destroy your body, make you angry, make you hate your job. Where filming content feels uncomfortable for 20 minutes, but it can make a 20, 30 times return on your investment. It's the highest leverage thing you can do. So you need to film content on every single job. You need to develop the mindset. You need to reshift the way you think. Because right now, you don't have a content issue or a confidence issue, you have a mindset issue because you don't put the urgency on filming content because you don't see the importance of it. Because you've gotten by, but you're not scaling and you're not making money and you're not flourishing at all. So you need to film content. And now you book the job, you film the content, you don't want to go back there. Again, you don't want a callback. A callback is what destroys the business. Because a callback now destroys your whole week. Because if you're doing 5 ducted week and you got one team, you got to take a guy off there and he might have to travel 2 hours. So now one of those ducteds might not get done. On scale, callbacks are going to destroy your business. They cost you money, they waste your time, and they build a bad reputation. So the way we can avoid that is we have to build an SOP. At the end of every job, your workers need to go through a checklist. Are the roof sheets on? Are the roof tiles on? Are the screws in? Have I cleaned up all fingerprints? Have I cleaned up the outdoor unit, the cabling? Have I given the customer a walkthrough? Have I checked the zones to make sure that the zone buttons, they line up with the actual zones in the room? Have I put a tissue on the end of straws to make sure there's airflow in every room? Have I checked all ductwork to make sure there's insulation everywhere? Have I hung everything correctly? Have I packed up everything? Have I got all my tools? Have I got everything out of the roof? Have I done all of that? It's very, very important that you do all of that because you don't want a callback, because you want this customer to be extremely happy. The next thing now, right? Now, before you leave the site, you need to get a review from that customer. Why would you leave a house without getting a review? When a review is going to fuel your business, all you need to say to the customer, hey, how are you today? Are you happy with everything? Amazing. How were the guys on site? Is there any questions you have for me at all? And I want to make sure before I leave, are you 100% happy with everything? You are. Amazing. Now, I want to make sure that other people like yourself can make the right decision when it comes to choosing a company. When you leave a review for us, it doesn't just help us, it helps people to know who to choose. I've got a QR code here. If you could please scan it, it takes 10 seconds and just leave us a positive review. It would mean a lot, it would help us grow, and it would help other people. They're gonna say yes. Of course they're gonna say yes. Now you're gonna get a review, and then lastly, you're gonna leave a sheet there that says, hey, refer a friend and make $250. All they've got to do is scan this code. So now they're gonna start selling for you. And bang, you got a full system. How does someone go from never knowing who you are to referring you onto other people? That is the exact funnel, right? That's how business works. It's not how you think it works. It's not what you've been taught in trade school. So they don't teach you how to run a business in trade school. It's not what Joe Blow from the local plumbing store teaches you. He doesn't know how to run a business. This is how I was able to start an air conditioning company. And in the first 2 weeks, I've got 30 posts on Instagram. I've got 3 jobs locked in. I've got a content creator on Friday, a video testimonial locked in. My account will look like I'm more established than you and I haven't even been operating for long because I follow these principles and I understand that this is all business is. This is a conveyor belt. So, study this. Start to research every single metric in your business and start to understand exactly where the break is in your system. Fix it and watch everything flourish. You'll have a business that goes like this. Over and over and over and over again.